What's poppin' YouTube? Loyal coming at you with a video. 713 the Space City win here. So with Monday Night Football in the books, it's time to move on to the Jags and Texans week 3 in the AFC South matchup, in which it's a good chance the Texans could very well lose in this as well. Because if I learned anything the first 2 weeks, maybe I am overreacting, which is a chance I'll admit that I'm openly overreacting. This team doesn't have a lot of accountability and discipline, which is, hunting the Texans, by the way. Defense, getting shredded left and right, but yet still giving the offense chances to score points when it matters most, but yet the offense, choking, being a little too stagnant and conservative, especially when Nick Cayley with the play calls, but online, still getting Stroud killed, especially Laken Thomason, who's been sucking so far. And of course, this buddy stuff, getting old. Stroud, having a hard time reading blitzes and, taking command of the offense. Still, getting his butt kicked. I mean, dang, it's crazy, man. And watching the end of that game Monday night was gut-wrenching as hell. Knowing that Henry told missed sack on Mayfield was more gut-wrenching than that Jacob Martin missed sack on Tannehill, in 2021, week 18, when Houston hosted the Titans, in which they lost by a field goal. I mean, trying to go back down memory lane, but I just want to throw that out there. So, offense, stagnant. Stroud having a hard time, taking command. And I know, injuries on the offense, missing Christian Kirk and all, but there's no excuse to why they're not putting points on the board, and of course, relying on the defense too much, to make things happen, which is why they were pretty tired out there, especially Will Anderson, who did happen to record a sack, and Danielle Hunter, who shout out to him for recording his 100th career sack Monday night, which was good for him. And then Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter, not looking too bright so far. They both seem to be undergoing a sophomore slump. But if they hope to avoid that, they got to play a hell of a lot better. If it means securing turnovers, such as interceptions and fumble recoveries, for example. And of course, Aziz Shire should have had him a pick in which he dropped, that drop pick, which led the Bucs offense, taking advantage of scoring a touchdown off the Shire drop pick, And yeah, I'm aware Aziz Shire did commit that reckless hit on Trevor last season, Just like Jags fans, this Texas fan hasn't forgotten himself. I'm aware of that. So I just thought I'd throw in some stuff, But now let's get on to this Jags and Texans, And shout out to Jagging, salute to you, Jaguar man, and shout out to UCF Jaguar as well. I know Jaguars, have that share. I realized something. If I didn't know any better, in my opinion, or not, 3 teams in the AFC South could be 2-0. Which consists of the Colts, the Texans, and the Jags. It will be 3 teams entering week 3 with 2-0 records. But nope, that's not the case now, is it? But let's get on to it, How do the Texans finally get in the win column? Well, of course, they got to be more disciplined. And the offense, has to play a lot better. started with protecting C.J. Stroud, and of course, Stroud has to, be more confident in his playmaking ability, which including his accuracy. And of course, gotta know when to throw the ball away if he's in danger of taking a sack. And I need to see more Woody Marks too, man. More Woody Marks, because I'm kind of getting tired of, no hate, but I'm kind of getting tired of seeing Dario Gumbawale out there, not messing things up, let's say. And of course, the connection between Stroud and Nico got to get better at that. But also, gotta get the ball to the tight ends if it means spreading the field. And of course, Nick Caley, gotta put the offense in much better positions, because Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, along with that Jags D-line, they're going to be bringing the heat. They're going to be bringing the heat to try to get the Stroud. So, yeah, the protection got to be better. And sure, I wouldn't mind the offense being a little bit more patient, but also, can't be always conservative at all, because that's how drives tend to stall. And got to throw in some pre-snap penalties as well, which tend to mess up and stall drives, because got to figure out how to cut down on those too. And on the defensive side, the Miko got to stop playing soft on these coverages though, man, because I learned, the moment that Chubb scored a TD, instead of sliding down to take off time off the clock, and, the Miko was playing soft and toe missed the sack, that's how I know they would, Texans lost that game. So the Miko got to be hell of aggressive with these defensive play calls, not playing too far off the ball with these prevent defense crap, because that's the one I hate the most. Prevent defense. And of course, playmaker, defensive impact players got to do their thing along with their defensive supporting cast. Including, Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter. They both got to play a lot better. And, Stingley, got to keep doing Stingley things. And if available, hopefully Petrie plays this game too. I know he was limited in practice today with ribs, but hopefully his ribs ain't too bad. So it should be good to go in. But CJ, got to be that enforcer out there. But also, I look for better discipline on his defense too. If it means minimizing the boneheaded penalties that give opposing offenses chances. So, make Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable. And, the defense is going to be facing BTJ and Travis Hunter. So, can't let them get off the hook. And also, my sleeper on that Jags offense is Brenton Strange. Can't let him get going either. Such as my boy Jagginoff would like to call him, Dr. Strange. Shout out to you, my guy. But and run defense, got to play a lot better too, because they've been getting gashed, as well. It's supposed on their supposedly best defense of line, supposedly top 5 defense. Hasn't looked like it. Hell, they haven't even looked like a top 10 defense so far. If you think about it, hell, they like the bottom of the league type defense at times. But yeah, man, this Texas team need to get offense and defense. Hell, even the coaching staff needs to get their head out of their asses. If they hope to get in the win column. So, but if not, then hey, they're going to find themselves 0-3, potentially last place in the NFC South. AFC South, I'm tripping, because already enough that they got to face Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco. Hell, they're going to be facing a lot more talented offenses and defenses going forward. So they want to get it together, fix everything. It all starts in week 3 versus Jacksonville. Down to my score prediction, if the Texans lose, and yeah, I'm aware that I picked against them, it'll be by a score of 27-21 Jags. Win, finally snap that losing streak versus the Texans in Duval by a score of 27-21. Though if the Texans win, I'll say by a score of 25-22. Though that's what my score predictions look like, because should the Texans lose, it'll be because of undisciplined, offense once again, stagnant, too many dumb penalties, and not executing when it matters on offense and defense. So yeah, hopefully I'm wrong. I would like to be wrong, but only time will tell, as they say. So, till then, to my next video, shout out to Jagging Off, UCF Jaguar, and Jaguar Man. So, to my next video, Lawyer to Houston checking on up out of here. 713 to Space City, always and forever, go Houston Texans. Peace.